Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Today's lecture is on the music of the French Revolution. Okay? It's a little bit disappointing, the music itself of the French Revolution, because it's a period of such turmoil that the music itself is a little, it's not the most complex music that we've heard of. And that's why this lecture, I make it on the before, the during, and the after the French Revolution, okay? So that we have a bigger picture of what the French Revolution did to music history, okay? And that's the whole point of this lecture. If you understand by the end of this lecture, the role of the French Revolution in the change of the music style in the 18th and 19th century, then you're perfect, okay? Thank you very much once again for being here with us. Let's start with the table that I always love to show my students. And I'm sorry that I'm inverted today, okay? Because look what happens. I can't make this phone work right. So look at this. I become green, okay? So I can't do this because, so we're gonna be inverted, okay? So thank you for your patience, I'm sorry. What happens here is, we're gonna be talking about music between the classical and the romantic period. The French Revolution splits the classical and the romantic period, okay? It splits music history in those two periods, okay? The French Revolution is the main event that will switch from classical to romantic, okay? From classicism to romanticism, okay? So remember that the classical school period starts in 1750 with the death of Johann Sebastian Bach and ends in 1810. That's more or less the second of Beethoven's period, okay? And then the romantic period is the 19th century, okay? Okay, good. Now that we've covered that, let's talk a little bit about music before the French Revolution. I'm sorry about being inverted, okay? Jean-Baptiste Lully was born Giovanni Battista Lully in Italy, and he goes to France because everybody wants to be in Paris. It's like New York of the 15th and 16th and 17th century. If you can make it there, make it anywhere. That's Paris until the 19th century, okay? So, how does Lully's music sound like? Observe. Hello, I'm the king. I'm Louis the 15th. Nice to have you here. This is a French overture, okay? Not only because it's French, because it was composed by a French composer, but it's a stylized overture, okay? This style of overture is called the French overture. It starts with this dotted rhythm, pa, 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 which portrays the entrance of the monarch, okay? So even if the king is not entering the hall physically, it's considered that that's a royal entrance. So it starts like this. Let's hear it again. Well, thank you. So Lully writes music for whom? For the king, okay? Have you been to Versailles? Or as I lived in Missouri, and there was a town close by. I lived in Columbia, Missouri, and there was a town close by called Versailles. It was Versailles, but they said Versailles. I loved it. Anyway, so have you been to Versailles? I have been to Versailles, but have you been to Versailles? I haven't. They say it's huge. It's like 700 rooms. That's what they say. And that was the audience for the king's operas. Okay, the king's as in, the king was in attendance, and he invited his friends, okay, the court that was all there in Versailles, to hear this. Oh, marvelous. And then something like recitative. Baroque music. If you want to hear a little bit more about Baroque music, we have this lecture here on Baroque music. But what happens? Let me close something here that just opened in my computer. Okay. So, French music before the French Revolution, if we're talking fine art music, this is the top of the food chain. Opera, Lully. Okay, that's what we're talking. Outside of France, there's this guy who represents totally the ideal of the musician before the French Revolution. His name is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who was born in 1756 and died in 1791. Lucky enough to die before the effects of the French Revolution took his head off. But why do I say that Mozart personifies the musician of the classical period, the period before the French Revolution? Because Mozart worked for whom? For the Archbishop of Salzburg, church, and Emperor Joseph II of Austria, nobility. Okay, so the fine art musician in the 17th, 18th century, what they really want to do, the top of the food chain, is to work for the church or to work for a monarch, okay, for a nobleman, okay, because that's where the money was. Why is that important? Because that decides the type of music that's going to be written. If I work for the king, I'm going to write music that pleases the king. I'm not crazy, okay? Well, I am, but you understand what I'm saying. If your patron, if your boss is someone who likes dogs, you're gonna write music that for him to walk the dog, okay? You get it? So that's the point. So you write church music for the church, therefore there's lots of masses, music in Latin, and you write music that pleases the king. You're going to write operas on subjects that the king will enjoy, okay? Funny enough, Mozart was very smart. That's not a surprise, of course, obviously. And then Mozart writes this opera called Don Giovanni, for example, and we have here the character of Don Ottavio. Lei piace vita mi rende. I have to sing because of copyright, okay? But what happens here? Don Ottavio is this boring guy. He's noble and his character is glorious and marvelous, but he's boring. I always sleep when I hear Don Ottavio. The fun guy in Don Giovanni, obviously, is Don Giovanni, who's a scoundrel, okay? Is that a subject for court, Don Giovanni? Don Juan? Oh my God, so kind of naughty there, okay? This example, which I have given in other lectures too, is La ci darem la mano. La ci darem la Vedi non è lontano, la ci darem la mano. There, we're gonna hold hands. Don Giovanni is trying to court the maid. Oh, I got dark suddenly. That's funny. Anyway, Don Giovanni is trying to court the maid, and that is why is that. Why is this example interesting? Because Don Giovanni sings simple music in the maid's courtship, okay? He understands her character. He knows that she is simple. She's poor, she's simple. So he sings la 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 la. He sings music that he thinks she will buy, okay, to take her to bed, okay? What kind of subject is that for a court? And he goes even farther. In Le Nozze di Figaro, Figaro's marriage, the marriage of Figaro actually in English, Figaro sings this. Signor Contino, se vuol ballare, signor Contino, il chitarrino le suonerò, il chitarrino le suonerò, sì, le suonerò, sì, le suonerò. If you want to dance, Mr. Count, let me tell you, I'll play the guitar. Okay, so in Portuguese we say, if you're going, if you think you're going, I'm already coming back. Okay, that's what Figaro is telling the Count. He's saying, I'm smarter than you, Count. I mean, can you imagine a servant telling the Count, hey Count, I'm smarter than you? This is not, this is subversive. Woo! Almost couldn't say it. So Mozart brings this subject into a royal court. That is, I'm telling you, that is a lot of guts, okay? And this play is by the opera, The Marriage of Figaro, is inspired in Beaumarchais, okay? The French writer who was banned in Austria, okay? Remember, in Austria, ballet was banned. Why? Because it was French. What? Yeah, okay? You couldn't have ballets in opera because that was a French thing. Remember the movie Amadeus? There's a scene about that. You couldn't read Beaumarchais because Beaumarchais was highly subversive. You can understand that. I mean, hello, a servant saying, hey, I'm smarter than you, Count. Okay? So that's the music before the French Revolution, okay? And then it happens. Woo! 1789, heads roll, and people die and all of that, and the kings have to flee. Those that are lucky manage to flee. And monarchies change all over Europe. The smarter kings decide to open up, and they have this, they share the power with the congresses, okay? So that's interesting. They're smart. Those that are not smart, they lose their heads. Very interesting. So we talked about music before the French Revolution. How about music during the French Revolution? There's this guy called François-Joseph Gossec. And I've already told people that I know it's inverted, okay? But my phone is broken. So if I look at this, I become green. Okay, so we don't want that. So anyway, look at this. François-Joseph Gossec, he writes music during the French Revolution. He's very smart because realize he was born way before the French Revolution, 1734, so like 50 years before. But he understands, he said, wait a minute, I want to keep my head. So he survives. How does he survive? Writing music that is the soundtrack to the French Revolution. For example, this beautiful Le Triomphe de la République, the triumph of the Republic. How quaint. Are you going to play? That's the monarchy. Good guys. Okay, so Le Triomphe de la République, the triumph of the Republic. is a beloved opera of this period, okay? All of the music in this lecture is on Spotify, the French Revolution, a list that I created for you. So all the music that I can't play here, it's there. So go there, follow Ekai. Where am I? Oh, here. Follow Ekai at Spotify and you'll find all the lists of my lectures here on YouTube, okay? So, François Gossec, he writes the music that is the soundtrack to the French Revolution. He writes the Triumph of the Republic. He writes this Marche lugubre, okay, which is a funeral march for a general. Not the prettiest music ever, but it's military music, okay? Unsurprisingly, that's, you know, the main music in during the French Revolution is going to be military, like this one, which you know. And I have to stop because of copyright. What I love about this version that I played for you is that it's sung by a choir of Russian folks. Ah! La Marseillaise by Russian people. It's kind of a betrayal. Anyway, I don't care. But look at this. This is La Marseillaise, of course. The song that later on became the national anthem of France. It was composed by Claude Delisle, and I don't know how you pronounce this name. Lille, Lise, I don't know. Okay, but it's that he was a sergeant in the Marseillaise, as I would say, the army for Marseille, and he was born in 1734 and died in 1828. That's not right because I copied and pasted this. I have no idea when he was born. But anyway, Claude Delisle, you can type there on Wikipedia and find out when he lived. But it is right that he wrote the Marseillaise, which was not the national anthem at the time, but it became so popular that it later on became the national anthem of France. It was sung before theater plays. It was sung everywhere. It was a loved song, and it became so famous that it became the national anthem of France. Just like in Italy, for example, they have Va Pensiero from Nabucco's, from Verdi's Nabucco. Va pensiero sulle dorate. That is not the national anthem of Italy, but it's kind of considered the second national anthem because it is a song about the unification of Italy at the time. So the Marseillaise functions more or less as has the same function, okay, as the Va Pensiero in Italy. There's another song during the time of the French Revolution which is called Ah, ça ira. Oh, that will go, meaning something like everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. Let me play, the lyrics of this is horrifying. The song became very famous and it survives until today. It's anonymous, okay, but it survives until today with the different lyrics. It's the lyrics of everything is going to be fine and wow, we're great, we're French and we're going to eat croissant and foie gras. But at the time, the lyrics was horrifying. This is the song Ah, ça ira.
Le peuple ce jour sans cesse se répète.
So it's a very simple tune. You can hear it on Spotify. But the lyrics is something very heavy. Oh, everything's gonna be fine. Equality is gonna be everywhere. The slave Austrian bitch. Oh my God, the slave Austrian whore, the prostitute. Who's that? Marie Antoinette. Okay, it's talking about Marie Antoinette, the queen. The Queen of France was Austrian. Okay, the other day, actually, asterisk. The other day I was sleepless in Brasilia, and I was seeing a rerun of. They were showing Marie Antoinette by Sophie Coppola. What a great movie! It's an interesting take on the French Revolution, seen from the side of Marie Antoinette. Very interesting movie. Very, you may not like it, but it's really curious the way. Anyway, where was I? Saira. So the slave Austrian bitch will go away, and everything is going to be fine. And the noble people will go to hell, and aristocrats are going to the post. To the pole, okay, to the post, the telephone pole, okay, or something. Of course, it was not the telephone pole, the pole. And when we have hanged all of the noblemen, we will carefully shove shovels on their posteriors. It's very heavy. Why would someone shove shovels up someone's posteriors? Nevertheless, people were angry and they were hungry. So, that's what happens. Anyway, where was I? Well, so that's the music during the French Revolution. What about music after the French Revolution? So, there's this guy, Mozart, who personifies music before the French Revolution. And then there's another German tradition guy who's called Ludwig van Beethoven, who personifies this transition between the French Revolution and what came after. Why? There's another lecture here on Beethoven and the Beatles, where I explain how the French Revolution changed Beethoven's music. And this is what happens. Beethoven really believed and was sympathetic to the French Revolution ideals. He was a big fan of Napoleon, but then Napoleon invaded Austria, invaded everything Beethoven knew, and Napoleon was not happy with that. So his third symphony, the Eroica, gorgeous. You can hear that on Spotify. Beethoven's Third Symphony was originally called the Eroica Symphony, but when Napoleon invaded Austria, he changed the name of the symphony to, I mixed it up. It was originally called Napoleon Symphony, and then he changed it to Eroica, to the Heroic Symphony. Okay, Beethoven was deeply saddened and disgusted at Napoleon that he would have these expansion dreams. Okay, well, sorry. Politicians, don't trust them. Beethoven is also another interesting piece, an opera. His only opera is called Fidelio, and it's a rescue opera. What the hell is a rescue opera? It's a category of operas where the main character is locked up in jail, and the opera is about rescuing him from jail. Okay, wow. Of course, he's there because of his marvelous character and some political reason. So that's why it's an interesting relationship between the rescue opera and the French Revolution. Fidelio has a wonderful quintet, which I'll play for you, just a little quartet actually. It's very beautiful, and I won't do justice playing here, but you can hear the whole thing. on our list on Spotify. And but that's the thing. Beethoven writes music that is together with the ideals of the French Revolution. Okay. And then we talked about music before the French Revolution, music written for church and nobility. Music during the French Revolution, which was music written, military music, basically. And after the French Revolution, music was written to whom? I'm looking at them. Yes, you, okay? Music started being written for the middle class, okay? Because the middle class became the new patrons. So music changes because it has to be music that the middle class enjoys so that they'll keep coming back and buying tickets. That's what we like, okay? For example, you're here watching this lecture until here. It's amazing, okay? It's about like more than 20 minutes into this and you're still watching it. So why don't you go to ekai.com.br and donate a couple bucks? Whoa! That is revolutionary, just like the French Revolution, okay? I pay the rent off of the middle class, okay? The middle class sees some value in what I do and they contribute and I pay the rent. That started after the French Revolution, okay? We musicians started selling tickets. That's a brilliant new idea, okay? And because of that, the music changes. Opera that was before composed for a smart group of people, rich group of people, the nobility, the kings, now is composed for you and for me. So it has to be exciting. Who is the French composer who embodies this beautiful moment in French music? Charles Gounod, okay? Charles Gounod, which composed that beautiful Ave Maria, Ave Maria. He wrote amazing grand operas, okay? The French Grand Opera is the opera for that huge theater that they have, the Palais Garnier, the l'Opéra, okay? And it's brilliant music. It's just... Je veux vivre. This is Juliet in Romeo and Juliet by Charles Gounod, inspired obviously in Shakespeare. And it's a gorgeous aria. It's a fantastic opera, full of fireworks and everything that the middle class loves. We love fireworks. We're all into that. And this aria is sung by Brazilian soprano Bidu Sayão, who was in New York at the time. She was very famous in New York in the 20th century, okay? She was very famous for singing the French repertoire there, the Metropolitan, especially under, oh my God, I forget the name of the guy, very famous, but I forget. The Toscanini, yes, especially under Toscanini loved Bidu Sayão. And so she sings French opera there, and it's... Bum, 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 bum. And then the audience claps and throws roses and everything to the stage. Okay, so that's what happens. The French Revolution changes music from music for kings and courts and church into music for the middle class, which is you and I. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this lecture. And I hope to see you here next Monday. I'm not sure what I'm going to be talking next week, but it was fun being here. And remember that this lecture, along with many others, is going to be on YouTube. And visit Ekai's channel on YouTube. Visit Ekai's channel on Spotify. We have a lot of things there. And on Instagram, we have interviews from Tuesdays to Fridays. Okay? I hope to see you in one of these outlets. Okay, thank you very much. I enjoyed being with you. I hope you enjoyed being with me. Now, how do I interrupt this? I have no idea. Oh, here it is. Goodbye.